Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money, but they made it over 1,500 pages long so you wouldn't read it. I did you a favor. I read it for you. It's supposed to be about keeping government operations open and providing disaster relief aid to hurricane victims, which I'm sympathetic to. But if you read the bill carefully, it contains pay raises for members of Congress, and I'm not making this up, an expansion of their federal health benefits. It contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding, including opening up a new stadium in Washington, D.C. It renews the Global Engagement Center, which is a key node of the censorship industrial complex. And the worst part is, they didn't want you to know about any of it, and that's why they made this a last-minute jam job. The reason I'm co-heading DOGE is I think we need outsiders to bring actual accountability to Washington, D.C. So feel free to call your congressman and let him know how you feel about it.
Can't somebody write the 20 pages that he's talking about and do that bill instead of the 1,500-page monstrosity that is trying to be crammed through right now?
Yeah, we could, but our speaker is going to the Democrats to cut a deal with Democrats and not talking to certainly conservative Republicans in the conference that would do just that. Instead, we're giving trade relations, like trade issues with Haiti are in the CR, where that country isn't even run by a viable government right now. There's no democracy there. There's so many different, there's healthcare related issues in the bill. We're going to pay off the bridge in Baltimore that was taken out by a private entity that should be having to pay for that out of their insurance. There's all these Democratic priorities in this bill, and that is not what the American people gave us an agenda to do just 43 short days ago.
The most disappointing thing about Republicans is that we always talk a big game. We have all the right principles, small government, not overspending, fiscal responsibility, but then when push comes to shove, we cave, right? And that, of course, brings us to Mike Johnson. When he first became Speaker of the House, I was excited because he seemed to be a Christian conservative person who was going to hopefully lead us in a much better direction than we had been going previously. However, he's been proven to be completely ineffectual at any of the things we really want him to be doing. So once again, it seems like the rhinos are in control and no one cares about fiscal responsibility whatsoever. And the result of all of this is what's come to be known as the cramnibus bill, 1,500 pages of complete pork and garbage that is a waste of your taxpayer money. And in this bill, of course, is members of Congress would be allowed their first pay raise since 2009, a 40% pay raise, $70,000 a year per member of Congress, right? Completely ridiculous. Provisions that allows lawmakers to opt out of Obamacare and use the federal employee health benefits program instead. Of course, because why would they want to be part of the system that they forced on everyone else? And language on transparency in concert ticketing prices, right? You don't want transparency in government, but you definitely need it when you're buying that ticket to Taylor Swift. So of course, there's all kinds of pork and garbage in here, like paying for juvenile delinquents to get driver's licenses and no longer calling homeless adults and children homeless, right? These are the important things that must be crammed into this bill. But luckily, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are already on the job before Trump has even taken office, and they have called this out. Elon Musk, of course, tweeting out in a series of 70 different posts, absolutely, this bill should not pass. A new bill that isn't an insane crime against the American people should be done in 33 days. And that, of course, is after Donald Trump takes office. Now, the good news is, after shining a light on all of this, the whole deal has completely fallen apart. As you can see over here, that yes, House Republicans scrapped the bill that would avoid the government shutdown and say there's no new agreement right now. And I say good. We can't have the same old in Washington. That is not what Donald Trump ran on. And by the way, in case I forgot to mention, Congress only had 18 hours to read this 1,500-page bill before they were supposed to vote on it, right? So how in the world could this travesty happen? Well, let's listen to Thomas Massie explain.
I believe this does fall on December 20th. Now, why have we picked December 20th? Because it's the same reason we always have December 20th. Everybody up here is human. There are no AIs or robots in Congress. And when you get to December 20th, you're 5 days from Christmas. You're 4 days from Christmas Eve. And you desperately want to be there with your family. So this is when the leadership here has the maximum influence. And again, I'm talking to the Democrats and the Republicans, because you've seen it on the Democrat side of the aisle. They love to pick the week before Christmas for this showdown, because you can smell the jet fuel fumes over at DCA. It smells like Christmas, that you're going to get to go home and open presents. I've been in HC5 when literally the Speaker of the House, not the Speaker we have now, walks in and says, if you vote for this, you can go home and unwrap presents with your kids. And if you don't vote for this, you're going to spend Christmas here with Nancy Pelosi. And then the chant starts, vote, 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 vote. Literally, people get enthusiastic to vote for something that they haven't read. So let me predict what we're not going to do on December 20th before I take a guess at what we're going to do. What we're not going to do, we're not going to do 12 separate bills. We are not going to spend this time. We've got a few months between now and December 20th. We could go back to working on appropriations bills. We are not going to do this. This sucker, whatever happens on December 20th, whether it's another CR to punt, to kick the can down the road for 3 more months, or whether it's an omnibus that funds all of government with one bill, it's going to be written behind closed doors. And every lobbyist in this town is going to try to attach their little thing to this bill. This train is leaving the station on December 20th. It's the only one that we know is going to pass. They call it up here must pass legislation. So everybody's going to try and get their little thing on this bill, whatever it is on December 20th, whether it's another continuing resolution or another omnibus. It's not even really a prediction that I'm making. I'm just telling you what has happened for 12 years, regardless of whether Democrats are in charge or Republicans are in charge. There may be a little twist. We may do half of a CR. It'll be a whole CR, and half of it will end in February, and half of it will end in April, and they'll convince you they got something more clever this year than they had last year. But it's going to be the same old thing, warmed over, written behind closed doors, rolled out here. We're not going to have time to read this thing. That's also predictable. And we're going to be told, vote for this and you can go home and open presents with your kids. Don't vote for it and you're going to be stuck here.
So there you have it. It's the same thing every single year. Congress has plenty of time to pass individual bills and resolutions, but instead they punt it all down the road until the end of the year when they can get this big omnibus package. And that, of course, is when all of the lobbyists just load it full of garbage and they hold Congress hostage, saying that you have to vote for this and pass this. Otherwise, you're not going to go home for Christmas and spend that wonderful time with your families. And I say, who gives a crap? Shut the government down. You can pass a simple bill, a simple resolution to fund the military in the VA, to fund the Social Security Administration, to go ahead and fund air traffic controllers, right? All those institutions that people on both sides of the aisle find incredibly important. You can fund them and then say to the rest of the government, piss off, right? Nobody needs you. We're going to shut it all down. And while you're doing all this, you can come out and explain to the American people what exactly is going on. And you can even blame it on the Democrats if they dig in their heels and want a giant omnibus package, because guess what? They no longer control the whole of the media and the whole of the narrative. Gone are the days that these leftist news outlets were the only game in town. And of course, they always skewed everything towards the Democrats, saying, oh, we want to keep the government open. We want everything to be wonderful for the American people. And the Republicans are evil because they want to stop you from getting your services. But now, of course, with places like X and even Facebook and YouTube, we can get our message out there loud and clear so it can no longer be strangled by the leftist media. And speaking of leftist media, let's go ahead and check out how MSNBC covered this.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Well, we all learned about the 3 branches of government in civics class, about the 2 chambers of Congress, the House and the Senate, and the general constitutional structure of our government. How hard it is to get hundreds of elected representatives of all stripes to agree on big legislation. What we did not learn about is the Elon Musk branch of the government. The world's richest dude, Elon Musk, effectively bought himself control over these United States, apparently. He spent $44 billion to turn Twitter into his personal propaganda outfit and promote Donald Trump. And then he went on to spend $250 million to help get Trump elected. He is now using that authority before Trump is even sworn in to unilaterally determine outcomes for the American people. A guy who's never received a single vote, who is constitutionally ineligible to serve as actual president, who polling shows isn't wanted there by the American people, I guess is now effectively running these United States. So last night, congressional Republicans unveiled a short-term deal, like there have been many others in the years I've been covering Congress, to keep the government funded through March 14th of next year. It was a last-minute decision to avert a government shutdown for the holidays ahead of this weekend's deadline. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson agreed to the deal. Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Dems still have the Senate majority, agreed to the deal, but they apparently forgot to ask Elon Musk. I don't think Musk has any idea what is actually in the bill. In fact, I feel quite certain of that. He urged his followers to use AI to summarize it for him, which, But he still spent the day whipping votes against it to his hundreds of millions of followers on the social media platform he owns. He tweeted more than 70 times against the deal to keep the government open, telling Republicans to kill the bill. And then once it looked like Musk killed the bill, again, this is all Musk, okay? Trump and J.D. Vance, do you remember them? Remember those guys? The guys that ran for office? Well, then they were like, well, they came out against it as well. Oh, I guess the train's leaving the station, issuing a hasty statement on social media and telling reporters that they now want a different way to fund the government.
Would you support a clean CR?
Well, what the president believes is we should support a clean CR so long as it contains a debt limit increase. That's the position of the president, and that's what we're going to try to push for.
Are you supporting a government shutdown then?
Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
Just to be clear, and we'll hit on this a little more, there's never any discussion of the debt ceiling in all of this. That just, they pulled it out of nowhere today because Musk got ahead of him. That's why. Because Musk sees the initiative. Elon Musk, the guy who really runs things. He's not just Trump's co-president. I think that's way too low a title. He's the head dude in charge. And House Republicans certainly know who they are taking their marching orders from.
Elon put out a pretty serious post there, but you know, that's the sentiment of the American people. This is why we won on November 5th.
When sunlight is put on these bills, when now Elon and Vivek can talk about it, when members of Congress, when you guys, when we look at the bills, the American people don't like what they see.
The American people are paying zero attention to any of this. Zero. Elon put out a pretty serious post. Oh, well, then if Elon put out a serious post.
Okay, so apparently Elon Musk is the man in charge. He's the one who's actually the president. No, Elon Musk has a very specific mandate from President Trump, and that is, of course, to cut government waste and spending. And this is a great place to start. And notice how quickly, as soon as the American people were made aware of this, how fast it came to a crashing halt. Because, of course, the legacy media, they're supposed to be the watchdogs, the ones keeping us informed. They're not going to say boo about it because they agree with all the pork, all the spending, all the waste. They don't care about it, right? All they really cared about is that there was this bipartisan agreement on the table, and then those darn conservatives and Elon Musk came in and squashed the whole thing. To which, once again, I say good. Go ahead and shut the whole thing down until people start to realize that it's our money that's going to waste. And the people trying to waste it are the very same people trying to give themselves pay raises. So I say good riddance. I'm glad this thing got stopped, and I'm glad we have someone like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy out there fighting to get this information to the American public. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.